Last week in our Sportsman's Workbench segment, we looked at a closet workbench that John DePoit built for reloading shotgun shells and metallic cartridges. The small closet put all of the shelves right at his fingertips. And this week, we're going to start one of these Sportsman's Workbenches right here in the Practical Sportsman cabin. Matt Radzalowski is the museum manager here. Matt, you're quite a handy man. I'd like to build some type of closet here because we don't have a closet to use. What are we going to do?
We'll fake a closet. Just frame up a couple walls and take it from there.
Okay, so 2x4 stud walls out?
Yep. Matter of fact, I got some plans drawn up. Let's go take a look.
Okay.
Here's a couple of the way I wanted to frame up the walls. I drew this on a yellow pad here.
Oh, it doesn't have to be blueprints for us. Okay, so that's just these little stud walls for the closet are going to be 4 feet by 8 feet?
Exactly.
Just the standard economical size to build. What do we got here? What's this double deal?
Well, I figured down the road you might want to consider adding maybe a fishing and archery bench. So that's this half here.
Love to.
This is the side we're building this week, though.
Okay.
We got our walls here, and then just some basic dimensions and how we're going to frame it up.
And the top view. Okay, this is the side with the little islands down the side where we can put the reloaders here, metallic cartridge and the shotgun shell reloader. Are these? Do you imagine having these attached? Or could they be detachable so we could maybe move them if they didn't work out?
Originally, I thought attach would just make a much more sturdier bench, but if we could detach them, that might free up some more space for you down the road.
Okay, and oh, here, look at that detail. Okay, there they are. That's what it would look like. If you have an imagination, you can see what it's going to be like. Could we maybe frame this up a little bit? Okay.
Now, here's a couple frames I just kind of threw together. It's pretty rough idea of what we're looking at. 4x8 frame. We'll place them about 6 foot apart, and this is pretty close to dimensions we're looking for the bench.
Okay, well that's about right. So we'll have shelves around here and in the back. Now, the reloading bench and working on guns, I have to have that reloader at just the right height for sitting on the stool. You have any idea of how high you want to make it, or?
Whatever's comfortable for you.
Okay, I'd like to check out a couple options. Okay, I have the shotgun shell reloader here on the taxidermy bench that Wade and Tim use for, I guess they like a high bench. This seems a little high to me, Matt, for cranking the
It's
reloader.
34 inches. How do you like it?
I don't, because I just have to bring up my arm too high. I don't know. This just doesn't get it. Too high. Now this is a standard size dining room table, which is 30 inches high. This is a lot better. This will work, Matt. This, I think, for the reloader, in fact, for the metallic cartridge reloader, yeah, I like this height. Now, how far from the wall is it?
It's 30 inches.
30. We see that's be too far. This is sticking out too far. So we're going to make our bench
24 inches.
24, which would be, let's see, I moved the reloader back to there. But I really can't get a feel for this. Can we kind of try this out a little more realistically? Got to admit, folks, I'm not the most visual creative planner in the world. So when I look at a 24-inch stool and a 30-inch bench, I really have to try it out to see if it fits. In fact, I'd even, Matt, like to set a board up here on a couple of shotgun shell boxes. This is 30 inches high. I just want to double check, you know. I'd hate to build this whole thing and it doesn't fit. How would I tell the man?
We're 24 inches away from the wall, so that's
Okay.
what we're looking for.
And here's the key thing. You know, I tried it over there, and I knew it was too far, but this is 24 inches, and this is perfect. I can grab things on the shelves. It's great. I like it. I like it. And the idea, folks, for you at home, is when you get our plans for this, say you want to build it off of our plans, 30 inches might be too low for you, or too high, or the stool might not be the same size as the one that you have at home. So try these things because it's easy to modify the plans before you build it.
Exactly, and to help the viewers at home get a little better perspective on what this is going to look like, I built a scale model. Let's take a look at it.
Okay. Oh, Matty, awesome. Hey, you know, if I was about 3 inches tall, we could set up right in here. This would be perfect. This is great. Well, how would you make this out of?
Balsa wood.
And just cardboard, huh? Or some type of construction paper? Well, the framing, we can see this real easily in the model. 2x4s put together. Anybody could build this at home. 4x8.
We don't have to get too fancy. That's not a load-bearing wall, so.
And you can see the walls just come out from your basement wall, say, or you could build it in a garage or a room. Now, this bench here, we have it wrapping around in a U because we could, use all that space. But what if we wanted more room here? Maybe we wanted to put some gun cases all the way down to the floor.
Well, funny you should ask that. I made the model so it comes apart so we can get a better idea what that would look like.
Whoa, look at that. So this is, could we possibly make this, Matt, so this little, credenza here that goes on could be unbolted?
Yeah, that's no problem at all.
What do you have underneath this is plywood you're gonna do
That's
here?
going to be plywood and just basic 2x4 framing.
Look at that, framed up like that. You know, if we could bolt this together rather than nailing it or gluing it, we could take it apart and move it somewhere else, which I think would be a practical aspect.
Exactly.
Don't you think?
Exactly.
This coming week, why don't you buy the 2x4s for this and the paneling and the walls so that we can... 2 weeks ago, we toured John DePoit's reloading bench that he built in a closet, an ideal place for a sportsman's workbench. Last week, Matt Radzalowski drew up some plans for a simple closet-style workbench you could make without a closet. And Matt even put together a little balsa wood and cardboard model of what our bench will look like. Over the weekend, Matt went to the lumber yard and bought the material we'll need to frame up this shooter's bench. And now we're going to build it right here in the Practical Sportsman cabin. As we put this together, we're going to be referring to the model that Matt built. This model shows the walls here out to the side, which we're going to construct. Now, you need to do this to replace the walls of a closet if you're not building this shooting bench in a closet. Give shelf space on both sides within easy reach. Now, the walls themselves are real simple to construct. They're 8 feet high, 4 feet wide. It takes 4 2x4s to build this. And instead of nailing these together, Matt uses 3-inch wood screws.
Boy, I'd love to use hammers and nails on this. It just make the job a lot quicker and easier. The reason we're using screws is just if we ever want to take this down in the future, it's going to be a lot easier than maybe ripping out a hammer and nail, and that's how we're going to attach it to the wall. So I think it's a good start.
Okay, now, do you want to put the paneling on now or put it after we get the wall up?
Let's lay it down on the floor. It's going to make it a lot easier to square it up.
Okay, any side, any particular, which side goes?
Either side. Either side's
This
fine.
way, okay, fine.
As Matt and I got into this project, we found that all the materials he bought weren't exactly square. That piece of T111 paneling, for example, came from the lumber yard a little bit cockeyed along the bottom. After Matt put the first screw in one corner, we made sure the 2x4 frame was square rather than skewing the frame to fit the piece of paneling. I mean, nobody will ever see that half-inch difference along the floor, and the wall itself will be square. Now, if you do this at home, you're better off if you have a framed wall already in place as your back wall rather than using a cement wall. If your basement is cement, we'll frame up another wall to use as the back so you'll be able to hang shelves. We lined up this short wall vertically with the grooves on the T111 that were on the back wall, and we're going to talk about the problem that Matt was having with the screws in just a minute. Now, to make sure the right-hand side wall was going to be in exactly the right place, Matt put together the framing for the 6-foot bench, and we set that bench frame between the walls as a spacer. That way we could snug up the right-hand wall and screw it in. We just put our paneling on the inside of the walls because we're going to use the outsides of the walls for some other purposes.
How's that? Looks good.
We only put 4 3-inch screws to hold each wall panel to the back. I mean, we're not building a monument here. We want it solid, but we also want to be able to take it down easily if we want to move it to some other location. Well, now we can lift the framing of the workbench up so it's flush with the lines that Matt drew on each side wall. He drew them 30 inches high. That's where I wanted the height of the bench. Now, it looked a little low to us right now, but I tried this height earlier using the stool that I'm going to be sitting on, and 30 inches with a 24-inch stool is the height that is most comfortable for me to work. Now, for you, it might be different. I had a little trouble putting these screws in at an angle. It takes some experience, but it also takes a good Phillips head drill bit and some good quality screws.
Folks, Maddie and I are pretty proud of this bench so far. I mean, you designed it. We laid it out, built this baby out of the 2x4s, and look how solid this is. We figured that it would be, but even without our leg supports, Matt.
Which we'll be adding down there later, just give the ends here a little bit more strength.
Okay, now the walls, we were concerned that because we don't have them attached to the floor, that they'd Well, they wiggle a little bit at the top. What could we do to solve that if that's a problem?
We could always run just a piece of 2x4 across the top just to help strengthen it up a bit.
That can be with our sign that we put up there. Now, we are learning a few tricks of the trade, and one thing is about the quality of the screws we got. Matt, you got some here that they're all silver. They say that there's zinc on the box, and they are crummy. I mean, if you look, as we've screwed them in, we've stripped out the threads, you know, with the electric screwdriver. So we had a box of them that are called steel with zinc plating on them, and they held up in good shape. It'll make it a lot easier to take them out. So whatever these screws are called, we will be learning. But you got to use good quality screws. Well, from here on, what we're going to want to do is put our shelves up, and you know, we got the